Hey everybody, and welcome back to Ready Steady Play.
He lied, it was painful, it was very painful.
But we're back now and alive again, and we're going to do our final thoughts on Blue Lagoon, this game from Blue Orange. And it's there. It was popular at. We're checking our pulse now, and it was. If you don't understand, then you should have watched episode 2 of Blue Lagoon. But we're here to talk about whether or not we actually enjoyed this game and whether or not we would recommend it to people to purchase. I have no idea how much it costs, by the way.
I'm sure it said something like...
I'm pretty sure it's £25 to £30 mark.
Oh, okay. Yes, because I was going to say $40.
I don't think
American,
it's that expensive.
Australian, or Canadian?
US.
I don't
think
that's
about £25.
Not anymore, buddy.
That's
You're living pre-Brexit still.
Yeah, that's like 35 quid now.
Yeah, it's $39.99. but that aside, I think this is actually about the... I think it's about the $30 range. It's about £25.
Is it that?
I don't know. The game is not actually technically released yet. It was at Gen Con. We've got a preview copy here that I stole from someone after shamelessly beating them up after Gen Con.
Oh, is that why there's blood on the other side?
Yeah, that's why we can't show you the box.
Strategically, we never move the board.
Yeah, it's sort of like a points buffet where you've got many options for getting points. And
buffet?
Yeah. And what you've got to do is sort of plan ahead you've got to plan ahead and sort of strategically secure the points, but then you've got to be ready to concede points and threaten areas and change up your strategy based on what your opponents are doing and what is becoming available to you. So it's really about being able to be reactionary, but also have a plan.
Dynamic.
Yeah, dynamic strategy.
And
In other words, have a plan B.
Very much a game of two halves, because you play it twice.
It's two phases. The first phase where we populate and I really like that.
I thought that was really good.
Because it's sort of like playing the same game twice, but with a slight twist. But the slight twist actually makes it really interesting, because it adds this strategic consideration to the first half.
Yeah.
And then in the second half, you reap what you sowed.
Yeah, but also because you score in between, you have such a good idea of effectively who your rivals are, but also what you really need to focus on.
Yeah. There's plenty of games that do that, though, isn't there? There's like a halftime scoring mechanism.
There are some that score continuously, but it's because it's two distinct periods. You have a full time of I'm just going to take stock, and I've not played a game like that before.
I'm trying to think of a game that I have.
I don't think.
That.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, there's lots of games that sort of score at certain points or when something triggers. I can't think of a game that has. I mean, and this is just me showing my lack of brain, because I don't have a very good memory for
He has
some stuff.
3.5-inch floppy disks in the back of his neck.
I've played a lot of games, and this is why I film myself teaching the rules, so I don't have to remember them all. I just go back and watch my videos. But what I'm saying is that I can't think of one where you do sort of like full scoring and then full scoring again, and they don't change. There's a lot of games where it's like sort of score at the end of the round, score at the end of the round, score at the end of the round, and at the end of the game, score that, and then also score some end game stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've played that. There are games where there's rounds where you go at the end of the round, do this, but it tends to be that after that, what you score changes.
Other games with score pads, King Domino has a score pad.
That was the one thing I was thinking of, but
it's
of course
at the end.
But exactly.
Yeah.
And Santa Maria has a score pad, but it's only scored at the end.
A lot of Euro games have a score pad.
Does it?
Huh? No, I'm thinking of what's the card game we play that's Puerto Rico but not.
Oh, San Juan.
San Juan.
San Juan has a score pad, but it's only scored at the end.
Yeah, there's not. I can't. We must have played ones,
but there's not a lot that are sort of this.
Last Will, that was a scorecard.
Yeah, but it's still only scored at the end, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, if you can think of any in the comments, let us know, because it'd be good to start the discussion, because we must have played them.
Oh, I'm sure we have.
Yeah, it's just.
But there's none that sort of spring to mind that are as light as this, and as accessible as this. And what I really like about giving you this sort of full scoring in the middle is it really shows you the objectives and what you've done well at, and what's strong and what you need to focus on. And it also gives you these sort of like rivalries, like our scores are really close, or that person's got a runaway lead. How do we catch up, or how do we sort of thwart them? There's a potential for a lot of sort of table talk and table alliances, and so if you're not really into that, then that might annoy you. But on the other hand, if your group doesn't play like that, it may never come out.
Yeah, I mean,
I've played this a few times, and every time it's been sort of banter and get that person and do this. But to be honest, like it can be quite hard because the strategies, at least some of them, are quite long term.
Yeah,
it's only sort of a few that are really, really easy to sort of scupper, or like when you notice someone going for like sort of a Hail Mary, and you're like, I can block that.
Yeah. I mean, I do like the fact that the game sort of has that distinction, but I'm kind of wondering, would it be nice if there was any change to the board state as well?
Well, there is to an extent because of the villages.
Yeah, but I mean that'll change every single game. Mm-hmm. But whether or not, say, like the scoring of the islands changed or something. But I don't know if that would make it better or worse.
Well, I think the thing about the score points for the islands is they're tied into how big the islands are, how many hexes there are.
Yeah.
So it could create a real imbalance.
Yeah. But even if it was just like, on the first round it's worth this many points, on the second round
what they do is they randomize the tiles.
Yeah,
and that gives it enough of a sort of... Because you might be looking at your villages and going, hey, I've got a really good spread, and I don't need to work very hard to get presence on all 8 islands. This is great. And then suddenly all of the stone circles around your villages are full of idols, and you're like, but if I want to get one of each, if I want to collect those sets, I'm going to have to work for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, though. The resources really... They made more of a difference than I thought they would going into the first game, because I thought it was a bit annoying that you only score the one of each once. Yeah. I thought that was a bit... Because you have to work to get the sets, and it's kind of almost if you fail to get all in the row because your opponents just stop you from doing it, you still get an award for getting something other than the own bonus.
Well, if I know anything about Ryan Nizia, I know that he balances these things really meticulously.
No, maybe it's easier to get one of each than it is to get 4 of the same one.
No, but
I think so, yeah. And also, if you think about... Sorry to interrupt, Ollie. If you think about the way you get 5 points for having 2, if you had 4 of each and could score all of that, that'd be 50 points for 8 tiles, which seems like a lot.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's more the idea of it as a catch-up mechanic. That would be very powerful. But then it would also be incredibly easy if you were in the lead just to go, well, you guys can fight over trying to get multiples. I've got that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. I've done that twice.
Yeah. It is, but it is like we were saying earlier, a game of sort of threatening areas and trying to sort of force your opponent to make sub-optimal moves by sort of threatening a specific area. And what you're really looking for is ways to create threat that also allow you to pursue an objective. You know, like... If you can put pieces down on an island that are going to threaten tiles that allow you to collect tiles, but also gets you population on that island that puts you in a position to have the highest population, then those are the moves you're looking for. Mm-hmm. And if you're on the back foot after the first round, you really need to sort of play your opponents off against each other or take advantage of where they are, the areas they're ignoring because they're having to play against each other.
Yeah. No, definitely. And this made me laugh because I think in our first game we did this. We thought just the long chain was the best, but really, because we were doing it island all the way across the island and then cross the sea and then cross the island, and really it's like just start on the coast and go across, which we had a lot of really long chains that we kept stopping in the first half. And I think you getting 5 in this game, I knew you were doing it, and I was really worried you were going to get more. And your chain would block me no matter which way you went, because it was either going to be here or it was going to be here, and that put me in quite a lot of competition with you early on.
See, I didn't even notice that.
Well, it's just because you had there, and there. One of us is going to cut the other across. Mm-hmm. The only way round it is if I go that way round, and then it's just not. That's not an ideal position for me to be in because I'm spending tokens to not cross your path.
Yeah.
And when the board got cleared, I noticed that really early on, and I don't know if it would have played out differently if we hadn't been that directly opposed. Mm-hmm.
And one of the tricks I missed early on was connecting up here.
Yeah.
And you filled that in with your people before I could do that and before I could spot it.
I'm pretty sure he saw that coming. It's like, no.
Well, that leads me into this point, which I was going to say, is you have to be ready to... You have to look at the board and sort of start to identify priorities, opportunities for where you can get points, and where the challenges are for you to make these sort of big scores. Like presence on 7 and 8 islands is very... high scoring objective, and it's very easy to miss if you wait till late game to secure it.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the 4 tokens. Those will get snapped up pretty quickly, and then what you'll be left with is a handful that are being threatened by players and that that are secured, essentially, like this one here that I had here. Yeah. And if you wait till too late, you won't be able to get the 4 that you need to secure those 10 points. So it's all about sort of where are the quick and easy wins that I can secure now? What are the challenges going to be, and how can I place my pieces to best give me opportunities to score those later? Mm-hmm. And so I really like that puzzle. I find that really appealing, and because the challenge is a huge part of the challenge is anticipating what your opponent's going to do, right? Yeah. It's like, okay, well, I can go there and I can do that here and I can spot these things here, but oh no, what's Ollie doing there? Yeah. He's in the way now.
Yep.
And with 4 players especially, it becomes a total nightmare.
I can't imagine this with 4 players. I mean, it's crowded as it is.
Creates great banter and table talk.
By great banter, do you mean lots of curses and threats and...
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean,
don't you go there?
I think, but I think I can see this being played by a rowdy bunch down in the pub like I have, and I can see it being played by a bunch of people who like to sit and puzzle out a really strategic and deep thing, and I think it fits groups because of that.
Yeah,
it's definitely because it's easy and it's
easy to grasp.
Not exactly correct. Not complicated to learn.
Yeah,
I should say. Then it lends itself very well to like a party atmosphere and a party theme, like being in the pub. So
hint.
It's beer time, Mike.
But yeah, exactly. So it's. And you can imagine it being very much a bantery thing. It's like, you knob, you took my spot.
Please don't shout that at me in the pub, because I'm pretty sure that's how fights are started.
But it also doesn't take up a lot of table space, which is great.
That is the other thing as well.
You can have a pint there, a pint there, a pint there, a pint there, a couple of bottles around the corners.
It's rare to have a game with a big board that you can actually take down the pub and fit on the pub tables.
There's no cards or anything.
There's no cards. And that's where you get the depth of the strategy from, because there's no cards and there's no dice. The only real randomness is in those tiles, and that's pretty mitigatable with some good strategy. Mm-hmm. So it really is a deep strategy game, and you can feel it.
And because of how it's made, it's really good stock. It's fairly pub proof.
Well, this is a prototype. I actually think these tokens are wooden in the final version.
Even better.
They're not wooden tiles like this, but they're actually wooden pieces.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I haven't actually seen a real copy of the final version.
Even better, because cardboard can get damaged, but pieces of wood, you just dry them out. Mm-hmm. They'll be fine.
Wipe them off.
Yeah.
Don't eat them.
Just try not to drink them when they get dropped in the pint.
When inevitably you take someone's place and they're like, they just grab your towels and put them in your drink.
They're like, wah,
chug. Warning, choking hazard.
But yeah, I really like the board as well. The artwork's really quite cool.
Yeah, it's it's pretty to look at. Mm. And when I first saw it, I thought it was going to look too busy. But actually, I don't really have a lot of trouble spotting what's going on.
No. Although forgetting who's what colour is quite funny when you're like, I need to stop Ollie. Wait a minute. Oh, crap, I'm out of turn order. Because it's actually Michael's piece.
Yeah, I was getting the colours you two had confused. I was like, who's yellow and who's orange?
Just as planned!
Damn it. But what do you think, Ollie? Would you play it again? Would you buy it?
Yes, to both.
Yep.
Definitely. I think it's a really fun game. As Michael said, it's not complex to learn, so you could learn it in 20 minutes, and you would learn it mostly by playing the game the first time. You just say, this is a village, it goes down. If you don't put it in these certain spaces, it'll get picked up at the end, which is probably not a great thing to do. These guys go on land or they go on sea. That's basically it.
And I actually think that's a great benefit of it as well, because it's played in these 2 phases, which are almost full games. Mm-hmm. And so long as you give someone prior warning, like make sure you play your villages smart, then, even if they don't do well in the first phase because they haven't played before, they've got a whole nother phase then to try and come back and play again. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it doesn't take long to play anyway. No, but I think that's quite cool.
I still love the fact that we all went, we're going to have a village here, Party Island.
Party Island, and then no one lives there.
Yeah. I believe
it's the only one with resources left that hasn't been mined to hell.
Yeah.
Michael, what do you think?
Me personally, I wouldn't buy it, but I would happily play it again. I would happily play it in the pub. I would happily play it here. I would happily play it because it lends itself quite well to being a very sociable game, but it's not necessarily something I would want in my collection.
Too aggressive?
Yeah. Well, actually, I don't think it's that aggressive.
I don't think it's that aggressive. It's more kind of like...
It's more frustrating at your own stupidity, I think, which I find...
Well, yeah, I think it's... What it is...
I think we all don't like that.
It's that sort of depth of strategy, and... Like, this was agonizing here. If you missed it in our playthrough, there was an opportunity here for me to get 10 points.
I was loving that.
But I was just one space away, and I just knew that I couldn't do it. The minute I went there, Ollie would secure it, and I would have wasted a tile. And that wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
But it was so agonizing not to be able to sort of more fully realize my strategy.
Yeah.
And that is frustrating, and that frustration can... be a bit too much sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I like the theme, I like the art, I like everything about it.
I'm bad at strategy.
But I really like there's games like this that I like. Like I like Here That's My Fish.
Right.
And
hey, that's my coconut.
Which is sort of the inverse of this.
And I like Escape from Atlantis, where you're like
that's all luck. Though.
I did terribly.
But yeah, I think I prefer luck where I can like semi-win without having to rely too much on strategy.
You say that when we played that, I didn't have a single survivor because he kept sending sharks and octopuses against my boats.
That's what this needs: shark and octopus expansion.
Yes, but the lagoon.
I really like this. I would absolutely buy it now. I mean, because it's not dear. It's only like £25, £30, and that's not a lot of money to pay for a game that has quite a lot of depth and
a lot of replayability.
I can see it getting to the table a lot as well, because it's quite short.
Because it's quite short. That's exactly
and it can travel,
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes up next to no space.
When you've got a game, it's so much easier to get a game out again and again and again if it's relatively short.
Yeah.
But it has to be good at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to have depth. This has depth.
You can have the best game in the world if it takes an hour to set up and 3 hours to play.
You're never going to play it.
Yeah, you don't play it as often as one that takes 40 minutes for the first round, 40 minutes for the second round, and
if that, Ollie, it might like if you're being really trashy,
I'm
you
sure
can do it in 20 minutes.
I'm sure several pints down, you'll be a lot less caring of where you
blah 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 blah. But I would just say to sort of caution you, I've played the 4-player version. I haven't played the 2-player version, but I can imagine the 2-player being much more of sort of like a war of optimization, right? Because you're going to be blocked less often.
Yeah.
You're going to, because you're going to be sort of contesting pieces directly less often, it's very much going to be sort of foreseeing optimal strategies in the distance or sort of long-term strategy, trying to realize that, and then trying to sort of predict what your opponent's long-term strategies are and thwart them, but in such a way that... it's not going to mess up your strategy or cost you if it doesn't pan out.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot less of this sort of like reactionary plan B on the fly type stuff. And I actually really like that about it. So I think this is definitely a 3 or 4 player. I think it would be interesting with 2, but I think it would lose a lot of the sort of social... fun. It's going to be a lot more sort of like head down, optimized strategy, long-term strategy, whereas I actually like it when someone puts a piece down and without even realizing they've thwarted your plan and you're like, okay, now I'm going to have to come up with another plan, and they may never even know what your intentions were. I really like that a lot. And also I like playing with all my friends.
You had to throw that last bit in here.
Yeah, that's why I come back.
Well, I've got lots of 2-player games that are good. So
I don't know if he's threatening you or making an offer to me.
Yeah,
not sure on that one.
You're done now. You're done.
One of us is now redundant.
But I think that's pretty good. That's 3 would play it, 2 would buy it. I think this is a winner.
Yes.
So if I hope this has helped you to decide whether or not this is a game for you and your group. And I thank you for coming on our journey populating the Polynesian
archipelago.
It's a blue lagoon. Clearly.
I love the idea that just out of frame there's like a gigantic island surrounding this.
I want tweet me screenshots of the final board once you get it at RSP Network, and we'll see if there's an actual lagoon on it.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to bet...
The search for the Blue Lagoon. First one to find it will get a shout out.
I'm going to bet that it's there.
They can have some ready, steady play points.
Yeah, there we go. You keep track of those meticulously.
I do.
So very
I have
valuable.
a spreadsheet and everything.
He keeps telling me this.
Do you actually have a spreadsheet? Because I'm worried that...
I mean, if he does, it's not on the Google Drive.
Oh, God, it's in his head. He's tracking us.
Oh, it was...
Who knows?
Okay, what happens at the end of this points thing? Is it like a prize, or is it like one of us ends up getting replaced?
Kudos.
Yeah, it's kudos. It's,
okay.
You win the game.
Less
Everybody knows that the path to being the best human being
is to have the most ready, steady play points.
Well, it's to just have the most points. Having points makes you a cooler and better human.
He has a point.
Oh,
sorry, Dave. So we'll be back in the near future, possibly tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow, but in the near future with another series. So I hope you'll consider coming and joining us for that. Thank you very much for watching this, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the further adventures of us guys.
Us guys.
Us doofuses.
No, it's rising, us guys.
Well, I mean, the further adventures of whatever
Mike,
we're doing here. Mike, and Ollie. Yeah, the board game playing friends. Bye, everyone.
See you later. Done.
I hate strategy. It's not worth £25.
And?